story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
This girl.
Who is she? Is she up?
We don't know who she is.
Is she trying to date you or what?
She's trying to date Manu, but she told Manu that I said I should fix them up, and I'm like, I didn't fucking say. And
her name is me.
What are you talking about?
Some girl. I don't know.
Me by name. She mentioned me.
How's the weather out there?
The matchmaker.
It just quit raining just a little bit ago. It's been raining pretty good for most of the morning.
I don't know if I can call Rach a matchmaker so much as someone who's nice enough to set guys up with a consolation prize.
Oh, what?
Nothing.
Ouch. What
No,
have I done that? What is this?
Saying all the, never mind. Let's just move on.
All the guys that I don't like, I hook up.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Well, you can't have me, but here's my friend.
I didn't say it was bad. I just said it is.
You can't have the broccoli, but you can have the cauliflower. It's practically the same genes.
Exactly.
It's just
very kind. I wish all women would do that. It would be great if, a woman, when she turned me down, would be like, yeah, but here's my hot friend.
Good save.
I was hitting on the hot friend the other day without remembering that it was the hot friend until the end of the night when I tried to give her my contact info and she told me we'd already met. Through the other girl that I'm not on speaking terms with anymore.
That's an epic fail.
Yeah.
That is a fail. John, can we get more of your body a little bit?
It's the fucking face blindness.
You know what I mean? Because whenever you start looking down, we end up with the top of your head, and then we don't see you as much.
Saying lose the shirt.
Did you ever think that might be on purpose?
So that we don't see your crotch?
Rachel, how do you always end up there?
I'm just surprised.
The camera. It's just commenting.
I just can't believe that.
Okay, here comes the tally.
Oh no, a little higher. Just like a tiny bit. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Well, come on.
Did you ever do Tolly Ollie Oxen Free when you were a kid?
Nope.
Okay, there she is.
Hello.
I had to peel myself away from the closing arguments.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay,
so we're ready to go, right?
I believe so.
There we go. Okay, that's good. All right.
Microphone?
What's that?
Oh, I asked Ariel if that's his microphone.
Testing.
That's his Mortal Kombat badge there. So
I was playing Mortal Kombat on Saturday. I went to an 80s arcade party.
All right. Well, let's do this, hey?
All right.
Yep.
Oh, wait. So Tolly had a protest against our name?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think people might think we're like a show about that movie, and then they're just going to be confused and disappointed, and
it'll get us views initially.
Yeah, but the views are going to be pissed off.
Well, why should they be any different than anybody else that I contact in my life?
I think we could do everything everywhere all the time.
Not the movie.
Okay.
I'll put a disclaimer on there. This has nothing to do with the movie.
We could just say we could start with the anytime.
Did you see
anytime everywhere? How about that?
Did you see the new intro? No. Okay.
Ooh.
So you did not watch it after I sent it to everybody.
I was there. I like the links so that I can send them to other people so that they
Okay.
can watch it. But yeah, I should have watched it. I did. You should have said I did a new intro.
I did.
Oh,
All right,
shit.
well, we'll watch it when we're done, I guess.
Watch
Okay,
it.
so-
Watch it on the next
But
one.
did you
Okay.
put in everything everywhere anytime?
I put WTF at the top.
Okay.
Ah, shit. Oh, never
We
mind.
should keep
That's just a reminder about the next Zoom meeting.
WTF all shit. That's good.
WTF up at the top, and then down at the bottom was everything, everywhere, all at once.
Well, all at once is the movie, not
What's
at
that?
once. It definitely can't be all at once because it's just that's the movie.
Okay, then I'll put everything, everywhere, all the time.
It's just
Anytime.
Anytime. Okay. All right.
How about just what WTF, guys?
yeah,
Stop it.
that was going to be my question. Is WTF already taken?
What do you mean? Just WTF?
Just WTF.
I thought it was.
About 845 million times.
All right, fair enough.
Do I look like
What
a
about
floating
what
head?
about what the fuck
No.
world? WTF world.
Are you?
Worldwide.
Yes.
Are you what?
WTF worldwide?
No.
But we're all in America.
WTF world?
Too many different conversations. No.
Ooh, WTF world.
All right,
I like
listen.
that.
Just save your comments until after you see the intro, and
Okay.
then make your comments. Okay.
But what should I introduce our show as right now?
WTF.
WTF.
Stop it.
Knock that shit off.
WTF.
Just
Et
say,
cetera,
hey,
et cetera.
just say, you know what?
Etc. I like etc.
WTF, etc. Okay. WTF, etc., etc., etc.
WTF etc.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
That'll work.
Let's do it then.
Okay, cool. Are you all ready?
We're all ready.
And action. Welcome to WTF, etc., where we're going to talk about all these things that are happening all over the world and here in our dear precious country of the United States of America. And today we'll be talking about a million things, our current events, AI, things in China, things having to do with animals and Russia and toilets, and just there's a lot to share. So I won't keep you waiting.
Here's
Ariel,
my friend.
here's Ariel beside me, who's part of our lovely show, and we have John, Dirk, and Tolly as well. And I'm
I'm
Rachel.
the floating head.
Yes.
You know what I
I mean,
find?
well, none of us have legs.
You know what I find interesting about all this stuff, though, is that I remember the days when you looked at the news and you could see how the United States was impacting all these other countries. And now when you look at the news, you see stuff like China and Russia and all these other countries that are impacting the world, and all our stuff is all internal bullshit. It's really kind of sad how we have fallen from being able to, I mean, we still can't influence the world simply because of the economy and military, but overall, it's almost like people are starting to look at the United States like it's insignificant in compared to what's going on in the world order.
Like we're not inspiring people, or just like, I mean, I feel like we've done a lot to push, to support and back Ukraine and to build a European coalition again, and with us to like support democracy. And there are things done in response to what we do, but are you talking about more like we're not like the shining star of like, ooh, America, they're so cool?
I think our big full number one finger has become more and more obviously bullshit as time has gone by.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
I told you guys, like, what last week on Fox News, they were saying that that China's gonna back Russia, but also they're like offering to rebuild Ukraine after all of this.
Right.
And turns out like they actually have a lot of like interest in South America. They've been offering a lot of South American countries help, and I guess it's like for like for prices that those countries can't really afford, but they're having more interests like globally.
You think it's because they're trying to save their butts because their economy is overspent?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that's because their economy's in the crapper, and get that here.
Well, that's all true. But the United States has gone into all these different areas and screwed them up so bad, especially trying to start coups and change leaders and stuff like that. So it makes it easier for Russia and China to go in and start doing those things because they're offering. I mean, they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah,
but at least they can offer it at this stage, as we're not those guys.
Yeah, I mean,
are they going to take over as world police?
So currently, I think that's not the goal. The goal is they took a page out of the WMF's book, basically, and are trying.
What's
and
the
it's
WMF?
the World Monetary Fund that tends to loan countries money for development, but then the countries end up being shackled with debt that they can never repay and basically screwed over in the long run in many cases.
kind of like student loans.
Exactly. So China now, especially with the Belt Road Initiative, is offering to basically go into a lot of third world countries to help build up their infrastructure. It does create a lot of jobs, but it gives them a pretty strong foothold in a lot of Africa, a lot of South America. There are districts that I've heard of where Chinese law is being enforced. And so this is also we talked a few weeks back about the secret Chinese police stations that have been established around the world. And now recently,
is it just for them to police their own workers that are there working on these projects, or
it's there for them to police Chinese people who are not in China? For example, say if you'd better stop talking about this shit, or because you have a family back in China that you need to think about. You should probably go back to the mainland and visit them.
The Russians and the Iranians, and they all do that stuff too. So
then chaperones.
So it's like the military. Like when you're in our military, you have to abide by American law, even if you're in another country.
Except that the Chinese people who are in these other countries are not part of the Chinese military. They happen to be Chinese. So then following on this, there was the announcement this week of 5,000 third world troops being trained by China within the next 5 years.
For what?
For
what is their reasoning? What is their justification?
I wish I had the precise wording on here because it was some bullshit. It was anti-terrorism and
that's right. Yeah, right. The
new government initiatives. It was very, very intentionally vague, to the point of being somewhat disturbing. But also, thinking about, there's a reason why.
Sorry.
There's a reason why a lot of Chinese dealers won't deal to other Chinese people, is because in China it's pretty easy to pick out who's not a cop, if by skin color alone, because they're not.
Oh, you're talking about drugs.
Well, yes, or just.
We're always talking about.
I'm like, deal what? I'm like, are we playing cards here?
No, so just saying that it will make it much easier for the Chinese government to sort of interact in these communities without being noticed. It was an interesting story to me.
Well, 5,000 doesn't seem like a lot. Is 5,000 a lot?
No,
not really. But when you look at it, all they're doing is just pulling another page from what the United States used to do. We used to go in all these different countries and we used to train their military or whatever you wanted to call them, and it gives you influence. You're giving them money and weapons and training, and so they feel beholden to you, and you're going to have real good contacts with those people. They're going to see you as sort of a buddy, big brother, or whatever, and so that's more intel for you. So it's same thing the United States does, same thing Russia does.
But we're the good guys, so it's okay when we do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, part of building infrastructure with your own products is that when they break, then the replacement parts come from your own products. Again, like you're the service, you're not just the builder, but you're the service person. Like all of the rebuilding that they did after all the different like Bush regime stuff in Northern Africa and the Middle East. Like, let's all bring in Halliburton to rebuild to rebuild these things so that they're, like then they need American pieces to repair things when they're built with American.
The problem that the United States has, usually we go into these countries, we train these people, and then we expect certain things from them, but we really don't keep that close an eye on them like we should. And so that's why you end up with the Los Zetos. Those guys were basically the elite anti-terror element of the Mexican government, and now they're one of the biggest cartels and one of the most brutal cartels, because they all just basically left the Mexican army and said, hey, we can make a lot more money this way.
Thanks for training us.
Also the Taliban.
Yeah. What?
Also the Taliban.
Yeah, and the Taliban. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why.
And we think that our reputation is going to make them beholden to us, and it's bullshit. So I hope the Chinese don't fuck up and make that same mistake.
Well, I think that's why, despite the training of these 5,000 troops over the next 5 years, that's why the focus of their colonialism has been economic rather than military. Like they certainly try to have a strong army, but that's not how they're trying to acquire power over the other countries. And because of that, they're also not painting themselves to be the devil that America has become in the eyes of much of the world.
Well, I wonder too, with at least property ownership, it's like if you go as a Chinese person to work in another country, you live there long enough, you can buy property, and that property might have more standing value than, real estate investments that have gone belly up in China. And it's like, I feel like if you spread your people all over the world and all Chinese citizens buy property and Chinese government has a hold over the property of every Chinese citizen, then in that sense too, you end up with the Chinese government essentially owning property all over the world. Because I know, even in California, it's like a lot of property is owned by Chinese people.
Well, remember there was a time of, I don't know, 10 years back or whatever, when they were coming in, they were buying up farms and they were buying up everything in the United States. There was a big news story about that.
Dirk, that was 25 years ago, man.
25? Yeah, okay.
Mitch McConnell's wife
that was
is
right in the late 1990s and early 2000s is when they were, and that was a whole big thing. Everybody was going, China's trying to buy us, China's gonna own us, and blah 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 blah. Anyway,
just like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I know. And then before that, it was the
Saudis.
Remember? Yeah.
Now they're going to buy up all of these other countries, and Americans don't want to involve ourselves in other country issues and politics anymore. So where are we then?
Well, I think we do when we are involving ourselves in issues, but I hope and feel that we've turned away from putting in puppet governments. Like, I don't know. I don't know when the last time we did that was, maybe a couple of years ago.
We do still involve ourselves to some degree, but there are so many people who don't want anything to do with that and criticize the government when we do, like people talking about how Biden would have gone to Palestine if it had been in the Ukraine. But I don't know if you heard all the people.
Yeah, of course. Like, but the thing is that even though he was out of the country when it happened, right? Within 2 days, there were boots on the ground from FEMA and a lot of the organizations. He was on the phone, like, within hours after he heard about it.
Like, that's not my.
No. But what I'm saying is, what we have to remember is what you're hearing publicly does not necessarily mean that's what's going on. You know,
right. And I mean,
it's a lot of surface bullshit. It's just like, how many of these Republicans that are so worried about drag queens and your children being in the wrong, or somebody walking into a transgender walking into a bathroom and your kids, and who are the ones that are really doing all of this? It's the fucking Republicans that are always getting busted for this shit. So they're the ones that are talking the loudest about, you know, oh, watch out for your kids and be safe. And they're the ones that are doing all the abuse and shit. So never mind.
Well, I mean, and you know, like to transition to this, because we wanted to talk about it, but like with the Fox News channel admitting that they have been like in the know of spreading falsities about the election and denying the election results, and doing that like from the top down on purpose, in order to regain and continue, you know, to keep followers and
so that they don't lose money. Yeah.
But it's like, you know, at that point, when you have something that, you know, people, whether or not they claim they're not a news channel, but people have thought that they are a news channel. But when you have something like that, where they're like, okay, you know, we want to make money, from Rupert Murdoch down to his son and Tucker Carlson all the way down, like, push this lie, all of you, because this is how we don't lose viewers, because our viewers want to see, you know, they believe in this lie and they want to see this lie promoted. So sell this lie. That was something that they did knowingly. And that Kevin McCarthy, just like when he handed over that like 41,000 hours of footage from the Capitol to Fox News only, and now all the other news outlets are like, hey, we want access to the same footage. But it's like, you know, and in that report, I mean, they tied Fox News Channel as a branch of the Republican Party, and they also gave Trump campaign and his son access to Biden's commercials before the election, so that they could model so they could have an advantage over knowing what his commercials would be. It's like they are you know, an arm of, and I would say like an arm of what? The Republican Party? An arm of what? The people who want to dominate the Republican Party, that are interested in money and corporate interests. And like at the top of the people pulling the strings of that party, it's people that are trying to milk this country for money without any concern for human beings or honesty or anything like that. And so it's like, should we hold people accountable again? Like, should, you know, the Fox News thing is like, okay, if you're going to say your news, you can't be spreading false stuff. You have to have a disclaimer. I mean, like, where do we draw the line? And so then it's like, you know, or do we just not draw the line? Is there any punishment?
I feel like we're at a tipping point right now, because when you have somebody like Rupert Murdoch who gets up in front of, you know, and testifies that his organization, the one he created, lied about certain things. He admitted he lied. He admitted it so much that Trump got pissed off at him because he admitted it. And when you know that this news organization is actually promoting bullshit and total lies just to make money, you kind of feel like there's got to be a tipping point where the American people start looking at it and go, wait a minute, this is fucked up. You know, either we're going to do something about this or we're not, or it's going to be so messed up that we'll never be able to fix it.
Well, but none of this seems like news to me. I mean, the fact that he said it, maybe, but for a long time, Fox has already been considered to be an entertainment program. It's been known that what they're saying is not true. So what's new about this?
I agree with you 100%, but you're talking about the guy who owns
Here's Fox News today
and made this company.
Drag queen forces child to leave class for denying 73 genders. School teaches anal sex to 11-year-olds.
What?
Finally. I wish, can I go back to school now? Because I never learned.
I used to teach the other girls at my school how to make dental dam out of a nitrile glove. You just snip right here and then.
Oh, I've never used a dental dam. Maybe at the dentist. I don't know.
So much for our teacher.
Jesus.
My dentist is good. So like with the voting,
I wish I'd gone to that school.
right? I mean, the news about it, Ariel, is just that, like, because right now the Dominion voting system company is suing Fox News for for pretty much destroying their reputation as a company that makes legitimate products, and they're winning. And they had to come out and admit that, like, they knew that they lied about it and they did it on purpose, and that there is a consequence.
Well, the only reason they admitted it was
case,
because of all the documentation that came out in court. That they had to admit it. So
yeah, but I mean, I think the problem, and I think you kind of spun into this, Dirk, is that they deliberately lied to make money, and the implications of what that did is that it pretty much, like, poisoned the minds of people who are still hooked on that being what happened. It influenced people to try to sack the Capitol. It influenced a bunch of people to like attack their state governors and to murder people on the streets. Like, I mean, it's not, it lied to a whole bunch of people that took it as the truth, and then those people acted out.
So if those people that acted out against the government because they thought the government was lying to them, why aren't they now going after Fox News?
They still think it's true. Like, the lie was so good and they bought it so hard that they're invested, and they still think it's true. And I mean,
and so now they think that Fox News is lying now when they said they were lying.
No, Don, the problem is, if you're only watching Fox News, you're not going to see a story about how Fox is getting sued by Dominion and that Rupert Murdoch admitted all this stuff.
Exactly.
Because they're never going to talk about it. You have to.
Holly, you've been watching Fox News.
Figure that out.
Is it on Fox News you've been watching?
It's not. I haven't seen anything about it.
Yeah, they're not saying, oh, like, today on Fox News, remember that time we lied to you? Hey, the guy who is our boss made us lie to you. Like, no, it's not. Or allowed us to lie to you. It's not.
I don't think he had a very hard time making them lie.
Yeah. No, he allowed them to lie to.
I like that quote, that it wasn't about red or blue, it's about green.
Green, yeah.
That
said everything.
When, I mean, a lot of time, on this show, we try to be, ideally, I think we all know that the green is the man behind the curtain, big money, and I think we often end up talking about party politics without necessarily always tying it back to that. But I do feel like we have to remember that, and everyone should, because it's about pitting us against each other so that we fight, so that we don't see what they're doing.
Right.
Well, last Thursday, I guess it was Thursday, that Alec Murdoch decided that he would fucking testify in his own defense.
Bless you.
What? I don't know why you would do that. Why would you do that? I don't know. But I guess he just...
That's what happens when you watch Fox News.
He's such a narcissist that he literally can't help himself. He knows better. He's like one of the top attorneys, like, ever.
So I saw a report this morning about
well, so Fox News has had the opportunity to cover nothing but that.
Yeah.
So,
but I saw a thing this morning about the head of the RNC saying that they are going to require everyone to sign a loyalty pledge to be part of the RNC. That they promise to whoever the candidate is, because what they're afraid of is that if Trump does not get the nomination in the primary, he will run as a third party candidate, which will take all of those votes away from the Republicans. So
hell yeah.
Right? So there you go. So you've just, I mean, even if he had all of those votes, he'd still lose the election. But if you split that in half or more, then there's really no chance. And you can't say...
so we can finally elect Bernie?
If Trump did run... I have a question for you guys now. Because if... I should know this, sorry, because my master's in political science, but I don't. If he runs as third-party candidate, how does that affect electoral votes?
Well, I think that's yeah, either Trump is going to lose or he's going to prove that voting for a third party candidate is not a waste of your vote.
If he gets
Either
the
way,
majority
we
of
win in
votes,
some way.
if he gets the majority of votes in a state, then the electors from that state will all.
But
give
are
yeah.
all 50 states require their delegates to cast their electoral votes for the candidate that gets the most votes in their state?
Yeah,
I
that's how it's supposed to be.
I
and they
thought
just
there was-
changed it.
I
It's
thought
how
there
it's
was a
supposed to
few.
be, but I don't think that they're actually required.
Right. I
Okay.
don't think it's a law or a rule. I think that it's, that's the standard. This is what you're supposed to do, but you are not required by law to actually do it.
I thought that they were required. Now we should know, but I thought that the electors were required to carry on the popular vote, and that the whole thing about the election process being rigged was that state legislatures were going to change their rules so that the electors could do whatever they wanted, and that the state legislature could decide who wins for that state or something. They were going to try to change some rules so that
Right.
it didn't so that the popular vote didn't matter.
Right.
I'm
sorry. I still say we need to just get rid of the electoral college. It's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but that's like a pipe dream until we can,
right.
I'm looking it up because I want to know.
Well, what's the other convention? Because there's two conventions.
The Star Trek convention.
Yes.
That's in August.
No, there's one that like Trump and Nikki Haley are going to. And
You're talking about the CPAC.
Right, but no, there's CPAC, and then there's going to be another one that's like the other candidates.
Okay, let me add
George
this.
Santos is sponsoring, or
I don't know. Let me
go ahead, Rach. What?
The Supreme Court in 2020 upheld state laws requiring that the Electoral College representatives support their state's popular winner in presidential elections. It was a unanimous decision.
Okay.
Okay.
So they re-talked about it and they re-supported.
Is that for the full country?
Yeah, it's the Supreme Court.
Right.
So it's very interesting that
Rulings.
what Tally was talking about, because I don't know if people really get the implications of that, which is Trump has lost a lot of momentum from all these people that used to kiss his ass. Because if you got Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and any other people that are running against him, they're basically saying, we don't like what he was doing and we can do it better.
Well, also, if you have a third-party candidate, doesn't get to be on the debate stage with the two-party debate. So he's not going to have a voice if he's a third-party candidate.
He'll have
in that
voice.
way.
He'll have his own
He just
debate.
won't have to answer other candidates' questions.
Right.
Right. But that doesn't happen until later on, though, right? Until they have the convention and they decide who's the person's going to be.
Well, no, they have the
Republican
debates
one,
for the
the
primary. They have the debates leading up to the primary.
But if you say you're independent, you're not on the stage within the Republican debate either.
Right. You're not on either.
You don't get on the stage as much. So he's not necessarily going to like that. Tali?
Club for Growth. That's what it is. There's CPAC and then there's Club for Growth. And CPAC is going to have Trump and Nikki Haley, DeSantis, and like everybody else are doing the Club for Growth.
Right.
The Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs Club.
Yes. Well, I mean, I guess they're both some kind of Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs clan rally. That's a lot of K sounds. I like it.
Right, it kind of fits the bill.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting now that you don't hate the right kind of people or enough people, so I'm going to go over here to this other hate group. I'm not going to participate in your hate. I'm going to have my own hate over here.
Right, it's going to be Mike Pence, Tim Scott, Sununu, Ted Cruz,
Sununu,
Chris Sununu.
Ooh,
yeah.
Wow.
That would be fun. I can't wait to learn all these guys' names backwards. Because that's the way to make sure they don't get elected. You need to say their names backwards. followed by
Three
no.
times, right?
Yeah, with no. You have to add no.
When you get a record deal, do you know this? This just came out. Apparently, if you get a record deal, you have to like pledge your soul to Satan. You have to do like all of these. Have you heard this?
Like
I didn't have to do that when I
Is
got
that
my
only
record.
with like death row labels, or is it like every label, Columbia, like any company record deal, or is it just certain ones that claim to represent the devil?
Let me see. I'm trying to find.
I mean, I do feel like there's a problem with people who get record deals, that their lives are pretty much owned by the company, and that their music, the
Sucks.
creativity and the really, I think like the often like really amazing, real honest cultural message that you had in your music before you got signed begins to shift to money, cash, hose pretty quick. You know, and it's really, you know, you go from talking about really amazing issues, and then once you get signed, I would love to have my friend Graham come on the show and talk about this, because it's a really interesting
About Satan?
about like what getting signed does to artists, and how the record companies purposefully subjugate their message, especially if it's to help people rise up.
That's self-published.
So what happens if you get a record deal in China?
It sucks. Sorry, I mean, I think Chinese music, classical Chinese music, is beautiful.
I've got a soft spot for one or two pop stars. I mean, I think as long as you don't piss off the party, you make tons of money.
Yeah.
There's kind of similar to the States.
Is the messaging money, cash, hose?
No.
They're not singing about like rise up and be free kind of vibe?
What is that?
Well, it depends on who, but in general, the pop is more, I'm heartbroken over this cute, sexy person.
Country music.
What is that stringed instrument that the South Koreans play?
Well, I don't know about South Koreans. China has a lot of stringed instruments. The pipa might be what you're thinking.
How many strings?
How many strings, and how are they played? And is it upright or flat?
No, it's flat. And
is it played with fingernails or with a pick?
I don't know. I couldn't see her.
Probably
hands.
a guchin or a gujang.
There's a young lady on YouTube that is putting out all of these videos of her playing all of these rock songs on this.
Oh, that the AC/DC gujang or guchin cover. Yeah, I liked that one.
She's amazing. She's absolutely phenomenal.
That instrument is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's a pretty instrument. It's like a harp.
So since everyone who signs a record deal now is required to pledge to Lucifer and reject.
Where are you getting your news, young lady?
Wait, is that the TV show or
Alex Jones? Alex Jones.
Yes.
So John, since you kind of
go ahead, Ariel.
Since you kind of brought us back to China, did anyone hear about the two mine disasters in the last week, or the House Select Committee on the strategic competition between the U.S. and the Chinese Communist Party that just formed, or the surveillance flight that we just flew over the Strait of Taiwan to show that we can, or the 12-point plan that China just proposed for peace that Zelensky is going to meet with Xi about?
I want to hear
about it.
Why don't you just hit them and let's talk
Tell us about it.
Let's talk about the Zelensky China part.
All right.
And then we'll head to TikTok. That's not a joke.
Do you have a dance rehearsed for us?
No, they're talking about getting rid, will be getting rid of TikTok on any government devices.
Oh yeah, well,
they are discussing getting rid of TikTok entirely.
China is, or here?
No, we are.
Oh yeah,
we are. Yeah, Canada just banned it from their federal devices, which of course
we are doing that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do hope that this House Select Committee will actually address some of the things that need to be addressed. The naming of it, as far as competition, does make it a little bit of an us versus them thing, which is not necessarily the most helpful verbiage. Although,
I think it sounds like
although
a
that's
game.
very much in what's that?
I think it sounds like a game.
Yeah, fair. But I mean, at least it's strategic competition, and I appreciate that they're being very clear that it's with the Chinese Communist Party and not the Chinese people.
Right.
But that sort of like I think that yeah, the competition wording along with flying a surveillance flight just to show that we can is a little bit confrontational.
Wait, what's the competition? Or what are we talking about?
The U.S. government just formed a House Select Committee on the strategic competition between the U.S. and the Chinese Communist.
Wait. When you say the U.S. government,
the House.
You're right. You're talking about the House.
We're talking about nut jobs.
And who is heading up that committee?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Some Republicans.
Gotta be a Republican.
That's my point. It's all smoke and mirrors.
Right.
I saw a nice quote from a Republican actually pointing out that like they had named it such because they wanted it to be clear that they have nothing against the Chinese people, which I thought.
So they say.
Well,
no.
Like if they did, then they'd just be like China. I mean, it's easy to be racist. Yeah, so I think, but so there's that just had its first meeting last night. I was busy driving off the road and did not catch it. But then, yes, there's the U.S. surveillance flight, which we flew just to basically remind everyone that we can.
The chairman of the committee is Mike Gallagher. Gallagher, Republican congressman from Wisconsin.
Okay, so they approved a bill giving Biden power to ban TikTok.
Cool. So if he wants to, he can.
I guess so.
Yeah, and then China released its 12-point political statement on the Ukraine crisis, which Zelensky seems potentially interested in talking about, which is why he's going to meet up with Xi, and the Kremlin does not seem particularly interested in, but they're being respectful about.
About what?
About China's proposal.
Oh, China proposed something to Ukraine and Zelensky, or to Russia and.
Yeah, China's basically put out a 12-point vague peace proposal. It's not nailing down any specifics. The U.S. basically says that it's bullshit and is just capitulating to Russia. Russia says that it doesn't have the conditions that they would need for peace, but they are being very respectful about it and listening. Zelensky is heading out to meet up with Xi to discuss it. From what I've seen of it, I can see issues that the U.S. would definitely have with it, but it seems like, even though it's not nailing down specifics, it seems like a potential framework for something that would force compromise on both sides. Not really have anyone getting everything they want, but potentially be a framework that would allow people to move forward. And China does seem like potentially enough of a third party that it does seem like there's maybe some potential for progress there, even though Russia is not saying that they're biting and the US is saying that it's all capitulating to Russia.
Well, China is doing what most big countries do. They sticking their nose in somebody else's business and trying to get credit for it. And number two is that when you think about it, I bet you they'll do a better job with that than Jared Kushner did with Palestine and Israel. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, it just seems like, I get Zelensky in the position that Ukraine is in should probably just be listening to whatever is coming from wherever. But I would think too, like with the huge efforts that the US and Europe have put in to back Ukraine in standing up against Russia, that some sort of compromise that's then brokered by China doesn't necessarily seem respectful of what the US has done to support Ukraine and what the EU has done to support Ukraine. I'm not sure.
But the US hasn't been doing anything to support Russia. Like if you're in a fight with somebody and like someone is on your side of the fight and then all of a sudden they jump in the middle and they say, okay, I'm a neutral party, let me mediate this.
Yeah. No, I don't think we're trying to.
We're clearly not a neutral party. Right. And China is probably not a neutral party, but they're a hell of a lot closer than the US is.
Right.
Only because they haven't technically given the Soviet or Russia any support yet.
Whereas
Are
we've
they
given-
buying but they're buying their oil, right? That's support.
Yeah.
That's
They're-
huge.
They haven't withdrawn. They haven't canceled relationships that were already in place.
Right.
But that's very different than sending tanks and armaments, which is what we've
Right.
seen for
At
Ukraine.
least somebody's doing some talking about some kind of peace plan, you know. So I can't say I fault them with that. I mean, I think that the Chinese are very, what the hell is the word?
Inscrutable.
Very opportunistic.
Yeah.
So I get that, but at least they're doing something. So I'm not going to just dismiss it out of hand. It may actually spur somebody else to do something more, or they might be able to actually work something out. I don't know.
And just the fact that it's at least yielded some more discussion.
Right. Exactly.
Like particularly Russia, like the main sticking point, it seems like being Russia saying that it insists on keeping all of the territories that it's annexed, and Ukraine demanding that they give them back, which is a pretty huge sticking point. But, you know, at least it's kind of been identified as a central crux. And it does seem like there might be some openness to peace on Russia's side if the right conditions are met.
And we can't dismiss it out of hand anyway, because if for no other reason, China is the only really big country that's kind of on Russia's side. So if they're proposing peace proposals and Russians aren't being receptive to it, then they're going to look like more of assholes.
Well, and I think that's why it's been tricky for Russia to shoot it down, but to shoot it down as respectfully as they can.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's something.
I mean, if the only money going into the Russian economy is deals to sell the majority of its oil to China, and China is in the position to say, you guys make peace or you're gonna be like flat broke. They do have a bargaining power. Whether or not they're gonna use that.
But to what advantage? To what advantage?
All I kept
if they go down that road.
All I kept thinking in my mind was the joke. That's what she said. I just, I know it's bad, but it just.
No, it's good. That was good. I got to give you that one, Dirk. Man, that was good.
I love it. I love it.
So if Biden bans TikTok, what happens in the next election?
What makes you think it's going to be Biden that
as long as it's TikTok and not WeChat that gets banned?
I don't think he's gonna. I don't think it would be in a president's best interest to ban any app from like public use. Anyway, I could see them not wanting it on government.
It wouldn't be coming from his office. It would be coming from Congress.
But Congress can't do it without his office. He has a veto power.
Yeah.
Congress?
No. I'm saying, but if the Congress wants it and he goes along with it, that's different than him saying, I want to ban this and I want you guys to go along with it.
Is it?
I think it's.
It's him saying yes or no.
All right, wait, stop. Hold it. Why? You got to explain to people, why does he want to ban it? And who is he going to ban it from? Is he going to ban it from the public, or is he just going to ban it from the government, from government machines?
Well, it is being removed from anything government.
Right.
Federal devices, which makes sense.
Because the company that owns TikTok is beholden to the Chinese government.
Chinese government.
Well, the company is Chinese. It was Douyin before it was TikTok. They just opened a Western, they made a Western version.
Right. So that's what the big issue is.
And they're stealing all of the users' information, the private information. It's a security risk is the reason that they're wanting to ban it.
Well, stealing is just having access to with the permission that you gave them by downloading the app. I wouldn't call it stealing. I would say that you're giving them permissions.
I think the concern is that permission is also being shared with the Chinese government.
Right.
So,
and potentially giving them access to all the data in the phone.
Like it is being removed from anything government, and the House just passed a bill that would allow Biden to ban TikTok. So say Biden bans TikTok for whatever.
Like for publicly or from the government? I'm confused. They're trying to make him ban it for everybody?
I believe so.
I don't think he can do that.
That's not going to happen.
No.
I don't think it's going to happen either, but let's just say it did.
Why don't we just get Elon Musk to buy it?
I mean,
It'll take care of itself.
I never had any interest in TikTok before, but now if it's going to be illicit, I mean, seems kind of fun.
But do you guys remember during the Trump election where he booked this huge building to like host this mega rally because all these people had like signed up to go,
Yeah.
but nobody showed up?
Right.
That was because of TikTok.
Yeah.
That was because of TikTok and our youth.
was in
So
Oklahoma,
thumbs up,
right?
you know?
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
'Cause that was awesome.
Thanks, K-pop armies.
Yeah, that was like the biggest no-show ever in my book. I'm like, wow, that was fucking brilliant.
Well played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In answer to your question, part one, he's not going to ban it because I don't think he can.
He'd lose the youth vote.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that would be a disaster for him, and I think it would really. I mean, if he could do something like that, he'd be putting himself in such a bad position as far as the government's concerned, because everybody'd be pissed off at him. Oh, you're going to take this public thing and you're going to tell us we can't do it anymore? Fuck you.
That's not what the government does here.
True.
I mean, they should be banning some stuff, but like for public safety, you know. Do you want to talk about another
Yeah,
thing?
I was gonna just ask if I could pivot us. All right, you want an Iran story or an animal story?
Well, I wanted to hear about the mines collapsing.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was that those were 2 in a week. So China is the world's #1 producer and consumer of coal. And so one was in Sichuan. Let's see. So in last week or about a week ago, in Inner Mongolia, there was a mine collapse that left 6 dead and 40 still trapped. Last I checked, the numbers have probably gone up since then. And then just a few days ago, there was one in Sichuan, which left 5 dead and 47 trapped.
Well, so the reason I'm asking about it is because it seems like that brings up 2 very important issues. Number one is that it's got to affect the Chinese consumption of coal to some degree while they're trying to clean up that mess. And the other thing is that it obviously shows that their safety issues are pretty bad. And that may have a significant effect on the Chinese coal consumption too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the safety issues have been glaring for a while. At this point, they're doing an investigation to try to overhaul things. But there was a big push in the fall of 2021, I believe, to ramp up the coal production in ways that were not really keeping safety at the forefront. I mean, I think that it definitely highlights the importance of, as I was talking with the Gibbon glory hole, of thinking on the environment level rather than just the individual monkey level, as far as, eventually the impacts of these globally destructive industries start to catch up with us on a human individual level. I mean, I think that China is doing a lot to transition to green energy, but there's so much coal use that it's got a long way to go, a lot of work to do. And some of the cities, especially where coal is used for cooking, you're just choking at night.
I mean, you lived in Inner Mongolia. Are they using the coal there, or are they mining it there and sending it elsewhere?
They're using a lot of it there. I mean, both. But there's also there are also rare earth mineral mines up there, which there was about a dozen years ago. There were huge health problems in Baotou, which is the neighbor city from where I used to live. Just because of all of the stuff that was being dumped into the water and flowing downstream and poisoning people. I'm happy that that was several years before I was living in the area on a selfish level.
This is why environmental regulations are good, even though they cost corporations profits.
Yep.
Propane accessories.
Yeah, so hoping for the best for all the people still trapped, and also hoping that we can transition as quickly as possible off this bullshit.
Well, you know,
Like off this rock or off of fossil fuels?
Oh, fossil fuels. I mean, I wouldn't
going
mind taking a visit elsewhere, but
Sorry, what was that, Dirk?
sorry.
Well, what you were saying, the sad part about that is that yes, all those safety issues are very important, and you would think that the corporations wouldn't mind giving up certain amounts of profit just for that. But to make it even worse, not only do most countries, including the United States, not only do we not really get in their ass about making sure they keep those safety procedures up to date, but we don't even fucking tax them to use that money to do anything with them to make it safer. So it's just like it's like double jeopardy. We're just fucking ourselves.
I mean, in China, it's definitely like clear that it used to be a very polytheistic culture, and then moved to the god being Mao, more or less, and then moved to the god being economic growth and development. And people's rights and well-being often tend to take a backseat to that. And there's, yeah, unfortunately, there do not tend to be the same worker protections that, you know, even American laws are lacking in that, but Chinese law is not, doesn't crush it when it comes to that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Dirk hears the that's what she said jokes, and I hear Hank Hill lectures about propane being a clean burning fuel.
and propane accessories.
Yes, propane and propane accessories. That's all I've been hearing for 5 minutes.
Since we're about out of time, y'all want to talk about Iran or animals?
Yes.
I'm gonna go with animals. Can we hear the animals?
Yeah,
Right.
I absolutely want
I think
to talk
Iran
about
might be a
animals.
little too heavy for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Or okay, so one story was out of Kerala, sorry, in South India, which I just thought was cool. They replaced a temple elephant with an animatronic elephant
Yes.
for the ceremonies, which I approve of, because those temple elephants, I would like to think that they're well treated because they're respected, but they seem pretty sad and chained up. I thought that was cool. The other one was a recent study that found that cleaner fish passed the mirror test, basically meaning that they are aware of their own reflection, or able to recognize themselves in a reflection.
So what does that imply?
That implies a level of self-awareness in fish that we had previously
outside their self, right?
And
Yeah.
a level.
Yeah, they know what is them, what's someone else. If they can recognize themselves in a reflection versus another bird, if they see a mark on their throat, then they'll try to rub it off on a rock or something.
Huh.
So I just thought it was interesting because this test has been done with a number of more advanced animals, but never with a tiny fish.
So the fascinating thing about that is that it doesn't make any difference. Every time we find out something like this, which doesn't surprise me, I am still amazed at how we as human beings are continually mistreating animals just in general, the evil shit that we do, hunting and all this other crap, and they're self-aware and they're intelligent. You know, it's starting to really scare me a little bit.
Well, it's it's uncomfortable and inconvenient to be dragged out of egocentric solipsism. Kind of what we're being forced to do as a species.
Like, oh my gosh, other people.
First it's like, oh man, other people exist, and then it's like, oh, other creatures exist. It's like, oh, there's a whole environment.
They can think. Oh, it might actually be wrong to keep them imprisoned.
But it doesn't surprise me because we do that kind of shit to people all the time. So.
Well, I mean, I think, corporate greed does that to poor people all the time. Yeah. Oh, wait, they have lives that matter to someone. They can think. They don't, we shouldn't really put them on a train that doesn't have brakes or stick them in a mine that doesn't have safety precautions. No, they're just like ants, they're poor people. Let's just kill them.
A few years back,
Doesn't matter,
on a construction project I was working on, we had a young man fall off the roof and die, and he did everything right OSHA wise, and it was slippery. His foot slipped off the roof before he could get latched on, and he fell head first, 4 stories. So the owner of the company was more concerned about, how soon can we get this guy out of here and taken care of so we can get back to work. And I shut the job down. It just, fuck that. His family hasn't been notified. These guys are freaking out. These were his friends, and I'm not going on. So I almost got fired over that, but I didn't. So
no, but it's like the job has to get shut down. Clearly the conditions weren't safe to be on the roof if it was wet and he slipped. And then what about the trauma and the shock that everyone who experienced that and watched?
No, and that's exactly
like everyone needs like a day off or 2 or a week of like grief counseling.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, they'll be fine if they get back to work.
Yeah.
There's a myth that when they were burying,
just shake it off.
Supposedly, I don't think it's true, but there's a myth that when they were building the Great Wall, they would just basically put all of the dead workers in the wall and keep on going.
It was the same thing with Hoover Dam.
Hoover Dam. They
Yeah,
say
that's
the
all
Hoover
bullshit.
Dam is full of dead bodies because it was just easier than like it would have been impossible to like get the workers
that's
out.
all bullshit. All those stories are bullshit. So
Really?
I think
I
I'd have been
wouldn't be
okay
surprised if they put dead bodies in the Great Wall.
I'd have been
No,
okay.
I thought you were going to say the Hoover Dam.
I got to put that.
yeah, no, I can't speak for the Great Wall, but yeah, Hoover Dam.
Well, it's not. I mean, eventually they rot, and then everything. Like, it's not the most structurally sound material.
That's exactly right, because then you have a space in there that makes the concrete weaker.
So beside the Great Wall, bunches of dead bodies.
Beside it,
like Lake Tahoe is.
You mean beside the wall?
But they're not structured. They're not load-bearing dead bodies.
Right,
Lake,
they're just in the bottom of the
Lake
lake.
Mead is full of dead bodies.
What is?
Most lakes are probably filled with dead bodies.
Yeah.
If they're deep enough.
Lake Mead is just known for it. Like that's like the only thing that.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we're seeing that because they're popping up all over the place.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Wait,
Yeah,
you didn't hear about that? As the lake level drops, they're finding more and more bodies and shit like that have been dumped in the lake.
All these unsolved murders from like Vegas mob jobs.
The early days of Vegas. So anyway,
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to close the show today.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for WTF, all the things, etc.
Whatever we are, yeah.
WTF, you guys, stop it.
We'll
guys.
figure it out. We'll figure it out by next week.
Right.
I wanted to give a special thanks to Ariel for coming up with some really good subjects today.
Thanks.
Oh, and if you'd like, I just posted a new interview on my Facebook page that I did yesterday with one of our show hosts about veterans and Vietnam experiences. So if you it's a tearjerker, so you might want to skip it.
I'd love to watch it. I mean, I haven't cried in a minute, so thank you.
Okay, all right.
I was needing some tear porn.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
All right.
I have to remember that tear porn. I got to write that down.
Oh God. It seems kind of awful, actually, when I think about. Sorry, I didn't.
What is that? Rule 34? Is it Rule 34?
Yeah,
I don't know.
something like
Are you
that.
familiar? Is it Rule 34?
Yeah.
If Rule 34 is if something exists, there is a porn version of it.
Oh,
Probably.
All right. Hey guys,
Interesting.
we'll see you next week.
sounds
Hey?
good. See you
All
next
right.
week.
Being a
Okay.